Well, we're at the end of chapter 1, and the author has given us a couple exceptions to our rules of what we've learned about the different ways of diagramming our 10 patterns. So, the first exception, or something new that we're not used to yet, is actually how to diagram a compound sentence. So, we're actually going to take two simple sentences and join them together with a conjunction to create a compound sentence. So, in terms of diagramming that, so we can visually see what that looks like, we're going to start off by simply diagramming two separate sentences. So, I have these two sentences here. After a laborious internet poll, the senior class named Chris Billy as Human of the Day, and he sashayed through the hallways with a glittery crown and a blue sash. So let's see if we can diagram those two sentences separately. So I'm going to try to do something I have not done yet, which is to diagram right here on the fly. So let's see if we can get this to work. All right, so I'm going to go over to this screen. How about that? All right, and I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger for us. That's delightful. All right, here we go. So I'm going to change this over to a nice blue color. I'm going to take on this first sentence. You'll notice here it has this opening prep phrase after a laborious internet poll, and then our main sentence is sitting here. So our subject's never in the prepositional phrase. So I'm going to ignore that completely, and I'm going to find where my subject is. Well, my verb is named, and so my subject is like, well, who or what named? Well, the class named. They're naming Chris Billy as Human of the Day. So I can also hear this word as, which is a pretty good clue that it's going to be a pattern 9 or 10. And so I realize, okay, it's going to be class named Chris Billy, Human of the Day. And human's a noun, so this is not an adjective. So therefore, this must be a noun, action, verb, noun into a noun, which makes this a nice little pattern 10. So let's see what we can do about this. Let me see if I can get this guy to show up here. I'm going to call him a pattern 10. And I'm going to build him close to the top here because I'm going to need some space underneath there. All right, so like I said, first time ever doing this for you on the fly. So we have class. And I'm going to go ahead and just fill in some extra words. I know it's the class. And it's also senior class. Action verb is named. It's my direct object line. Trying to keep it nice and straight for you because I can tend to slant here, it looks like. So they're naming Chris Billy. Now I'm going to slant this line, and I know there's going to be this as. There's this little expletive at the very, very beginning. So here's as, and they're naming him Human of the Day. So I'm just going to abbreviate that as the HOTD, the hot D, I guess. So he is Human of the Day. And so that's my basic pattern 10 across the top. It leaves you with this prepositional phrase at the very beginning. A prep phrase which starts the sentence typically is going to be working as an adverb. It typically tells me something about the verb, and the reason it can go to the very beginning of the sentence is because adverbs have a sense of mobility about them, so I can move that prep phrase around. And so in this case, it's probably telling me more about when he was named. He was named after this internet poll, and so I'm going to come down off of named. So I'm going to come down with after. It's not a great R, but we'll just deal with it, kids. And then we have our noun, which is going to be poll. I know internet is a noun, but it's in this case, poll is the end of our prep phrase. And then we have three words here. We have a poll. It's laborious, meaning it's labor intensive. I tell you, writing on the side is not that easy. Laborious, and it is an internet poll. Nothing is more humbling than trying to write on these electronic pens, I'll tell you that. All right, cool. So now we have our second sentence over here. I'm going to change colors just because we can. So let's change this to one of my favorite colors will be orange. All right, just a little side note about me. He sashayed through the hallways with a glittery crown and a blue sash. Well, I can see there's a prep phrase here through the hallways. There's a prep phrase with a glittery crown and a blue sash. It's a really long prep phrase. So I must have just simply a subject and a verb. He sashayed. So I'm going to put that right over here. I'm going to bring him down here just because I know I'm going to need a little bit of space underneath here. So I'm going to say, no, Jeffrey, I don't like that. Let's go a little higher. Sorry, everybody. Well, let's see if we can get this thing to erase. There we go. Sorry for the delay here. Great. All right, back to our pen. All right, should have done what I wanted to do, put it way up high. All right, so we have he, then sashayed. All right, but there's no direct object. We're not saying he sashayed what or he sashayed whom. It is simply he sashayed. And so that makes it a nice little pattern 6 over here. So he's sashaying where? Through the hallway. So let's do that. Let's come down with through. That's a really ugly G. That's really hideous. Let's go across with hallways. Look how nice hallways looks. That makes up for it. All right. And then we have the hallways. And here's something tricky. Here's this preposition with, but he doesn't have simply one noun. He has two. Now, we've come across that before, but he's sashaying with a crown and with a sash. So I'm going to come down with the word with. I'm going to come over, get myself some nub. I'm going to come up with one of those, which is going to be crown. And I'm going to come down with the other guy, which should be sash. And then I have like this little dotted line or dashed line with the word and sitting in here. It's a crown, and it's glittery. A little better with the G there, Marsh. It's nice. Sorry, that looks awful, actually. And it's a sash and blue sash. See if I can get my pen to come over here. Okay, a sash. You have no idea how far my arm is stretched right now. I wrote a sash, a sash. Seriously. That's what I do for talking. All right, let's get rid of him and him. Back we go. It's going to be blue. I should really write shorter sentences for myself. Okay, so that's what it looks like as two simple sentences. But what if you kind of look at the very bottom of the worksheet, I don't even know if it's even here. Seriously, it's not there. Let me bring back to this worksheet. So if you think about the original worksheet, then the original worksheet says, hey, what if it was after a laborious internet poll, the senior class named Chris Billy as human of the day, comma, and, oh, do you see it right here, comma, and? It's right there. And he sashayed through the hallways with a glittery crown and a blue sash. Here it becomes compound. So, like, how would you do that? Let's go back to that little drawing we were just doing. And what I would do then, no, I don't want you. Sorry, everybody. Is what I want to do is I want to show that those two sentences actually were, if they were joined by the word and, how would it look? Well, as you can see here, we use an and to join two nouns together, in this case, the two objects of preposition. So in order to join two full sentences together, what happens in Reed-Kellogg diagramming, in order to create a compound sentence, is we're going to join verb to verb with a dashed or a dotted line. So I'm going to do a different color just because I can. And let's do a nice little green. All right, so we have, what we're going to do is we're going to go from this verb over here, a little dashed line, to this verb. All right, so I'm connecting this verb here to this verb here. Now, if you look in the book, they're very formal about the way that the little dash line is supposed to go. And unfortunately, though, the way I've drawn it here and the way I oftentimes draw my diagrams, I can't be overly formal. So I look at it as like a big umbilical cord. Think about how this verb has to connect to this verb. I don't care if it goes from bottom to bottom, if it goes from the top of the verb to the top of the verb over here, as long as named and sashayed are connected with a dashed line. Because what you're doing is you're kind of replicating this dash line here. So it has a dash line. And just like the word and is on the line here, if I have the and as my conjunction joining this, as I do in this example sentence, I get to put the word and here. If it was but or another conjunction, it would sit there. But this is how we actually show a compound sentence. Visually, what we're showing is they're actually two separate sentences joined by a conjunction. And that's how it works. I'm going to sneeze, so it's a great time for me to pause this video.